So the Gorosei are finally making their move. Chapter 1073 was insane. The last few chapters we've been building up for things like this, and I'm here for it because we don't know where the story is going to be taking us now. So we've finally gotten the name of one of the 5 elders, Saint J. Garcia Saturn. And typically, like most One Piece characters, there's always going to be somebody that this character was most likely based on in regards to their design, or in particular maybe their behaviors or the things that they've achieved in the world. Oda loves musicians, and this Gorosei member seems to be actually based off of another musician actually named Jay Garcia. So Saint J reveals that he's known Vegapunk and he met him a long time ago, and at the same time we're coinciding with the backstory of Mads and Dr. Vegapunk that's been happening on the cover story. So I'm going to kind of assume that we probably may actually see in this cover story when Vegapunk might have met the Gorosei, either that or we're going to see it in a flashback in the main story. Either way, I'm loving this cover story. By far probably the most prevalent cover story that we've gotten, and the fact that it's intertwining with the main storyline at the same time just makes it top tier. So we can kind of almost assume that the government saw Vegapunk's potential to create weapons and also to be able to use them to create peace. He received, on this cover story, he received an Ibel Prize, which is like, I guess, like a Nobel Peace Prize in the One Piece world, for creating gunpowder that sprouted flowers. So it also seems like the rest of Mads were confused, because in the cover story we got before, they're working hard on developing weapons of mass destruction, or at least that's what they thought. Then we get to this next cover story and there's tanks shooting flowers. So definitely let me know in the comments if I'm mistaken, but that's pretty much my understanding of what the cover story is telling us, that Dr. Vegapunk created this gunpowder that would sprout flowers, and the rest of Mads thought it was going to be something a bit more destructive. But anyway, this would make sense that the Gorosei probably thought that, okay, this guy is just out here creating things that look like weapons, but they're not really weapons. They're just stuff that are actually going to make people happy. So this may have been something that they were okay with. And now that they know that Vegapunk is creating weapons and doing things that can potentially topple the government, they're a little bit more afraid and they're wary. And maybe they also know about his ties to the revolutionaries. So, or it's possible that which I doubt this, but maybe they figured out that he potentially had this mole. My next question for the future would be, what are Vegapunk's actual intentions? I'm sure this is what everybody's asking. What does Vegapunk really want to do? He has created weapons. He has the brain fruit, which allows him to get all of the knowledge that he wants. He knows about the knowledge that O'Hara was researching. So I'm assuming that the government knows this as well. They know that Dr. Vegapunk has all this knowledge and he can use it at any point. So they figured this may be time to cut ties. Vegapunk, meanwhile, had a clone of Stussy, which is, we find out, is Miss Buckingham, Weevil's mom. And she was a part of CP0 for over 20 years, or at least a part of the government's intelligence. We're not sure when CP0 was actually created, but it seems that she's been a part of CP0 for a very long time. I would have definitely questioned, like, yo, why is this lady not getting any older? Because obviously she probably looks exactly the same as she did 20 years ago. But that's for another complete discussion. So Stussy actually is confirmed to be Rock's Pirates. We also see that Miss Buckingham, like I was mentioning earlier, Weevil's mom, is the original that we saw on a cover story a few chapters ago that was a part of Mads. So I'm assuming that she was kind of like, Dr. Hiruluk, like a quack, like she was a self-proclaimed scientist, and they probably let her ride along with the group because she's pretty, something along those lines. And so that was probably why they tried to create clones. And it's possible that she could have had a child, or it's possible that while she was a part of the Rocks Pirates, she was able to get Whitebeard's DNA, so she wanted to clone Whitebeard and have his son. So Weevil was the first potentially Weevil was the first attempted clone, and he was a failure. So after they failed, then they tried to clone her because she was actually very beautiful. So they were successful in actually cloning her. This is something that I'm assuming that Dr. Vegapunk is saying in the beginning of the chapter when he's referring to the success. He was talking about Stussy. So yeah, Weevil potentially may be a failed clone, or he's the actual son of Whitebeard, which I'm leaning more towards that he's a failed clone, you know, with the fact of his size and everything like that, because Whitebeard was pretty brolic and Stussy's pretty, I should say. She is just pretty. So, you know, I would have assumed that they would have definitely made a bit more of a good looking child. But who knows? We'll see. We'll find out about Weevil soon. But this chapter gave, I would say, Weevil and Green Bull a little bit of clout, because I think Weevil is pretty strong. But at the same time, it was just a bunch of fodder Marines that he defeated. Captains and lower rank, most of the Straw Hats could probably beat that crew of Marines that were on that island. So, but I would assume that he has to be very strong, because they realized they had to, the only way they could capture him was by sending in an admiral. So Weevil has been captured, but we know that he was really after just trying to protect Whitebeard's island, and I'm assuming claim that treasure of Whitebeard for himself. Another minor detail in the chapter was that we finally got the Seraphim clash that we were all expecting to get. Zoro clashed with the Seraphim of Mihawk, but it wasn't what we really wanted. Like, I'm assuming what most people wanted, same as myself, was actually more of a fight. But it seemed like after that clash, that one of the Vegapunks were able to finally get the Seraphim under control. Sanji comes through and saves Edison from the blast, and the Seraphim have calmed down. So we got a little bit of the Seraphim. I don't think, you know, a lot of people were kind of hyped thinking we're going to get Straw Hats versus the Seraphim, but that's not going to happen. And hopefully they're going to stay on our side, because if not, they're definitely going to be very tough to deal with. And there's so much moving parts right now, so many other fights that we still don't know what's going on with. We still have Blackbeard and Law. We have to know what's happening with Garp. I know he's going to attack Blackbeard's island. Is Blackbeard going to be there? We're going to find that out. But back to the chapter, and one of the major plot points that is going to set up more things for the future. Dr. Vegapunk apparently is missing. The main stellar body of Dr. Vegapunk apparently is missing, which he was last seen with Bonnie when Bonnie was looking at the memories of Kuma. So we kind of are a little bit on the fence about figuring out whether they may be a spy or somebody who is one of the Vegapunks may potentially have turned on them, because when CP0 was able to come up through the stratosphere, somebody had to put the shield down. So who put the shield down? Is it one of the Vegapunk? Is there somebody else on the island that could have potentially been working with CP0? We know now that Stussy was the one that Vegapunk made that phone call to, since they're speaking back and forth on the Den Mushi. Stussy is speaking with the other Vegapunks and talking about how she was able to switch up and capture Kaku and Lucci off guard. Now they're knocked out and asleep. The Seraphim are on the Straw Hat side with the Vegapunks in control. The Labosphere seems like we've got a lot of destruction that's happening, but everyone's okay. Where is Dr. Vegapunk? Where is Bonnie? Did Bonnie kidnap him? Also, quick side note about Bonnie's abilities last chapter. Since I didn't talk about last chapter, that was pretty dope. The fact that she can not only age herself up, but she also has the ability to age herself up into alternate universe or the alternate timelines. Pretty dope, because she aged herself up into distorted future, and she's like super buffed. So I could only imagine that she could do that to other people as well. So I think she did something like that with Luffy when she turned him into an old man. So we get to see potentially the Straw Hats, or even, you know, with her herself, aging herself up into a better version, into a worse version, into just the way things are version. Who knows? But that's pretty freaking dope. I just wanted to point that out. But as far as where Vegapunk actually is, one of my guesses is that Bonnie has kidnapped him and is trying to figure out how she can get Kuma's memories back to him. My second potential theory is that we have someone else, one of the other, it could be either one of the Vegapunks or someone else that's on the island that's secretly trying to capture Vegapunk. And thirdly, it could be that he's already been captured by Kizaru and the Gorosei, and this is kind of like a little bit of a time skip when we see Kizaru pulling, when we see Kizaru having that conversation with the Gorosei, which I don't think that's the case, but I just wanted to share that thought just in case it may actually pan out to be true. So definitely let me know what you guys think. I definitely plan to do a bit more chapter reviews again. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It's your boy Gabe the Champ. Peace.